Well, super excited for game week to get here. Obviously, day early for you guys. Usually we do this on a Monday. Today's a Sunday, so we've kind of worked our guys in. We had a good mock scrimmage on Wednesday. Mock game really about the same time that we'll kick off, 8 o'clock, and we kind of went through about an hour and a half, hour 45. Tonight we'll actually practice a little later. We're not going to get going until about 9 o'clock just to have the light experience and everything kind of in the later half of what our game will be against UAB. Game yesterday to kind of get their legs back and have a steady build up to game week. I think obviously the game is going to be important, but how fresh you are for those games and how ready you are mentally and physically is a huge part of not just the calls that are being made, right? So you've heard from Barry and Bobby. You can probably tell why I'm probably at ease a little bit. Those two guys have got a lot of experience, have been through a lot of things fired at them, and just super impressed with that aspect. I thought our players have handled camp overall very, very well. Really from Monday on, we've kind of transitioned 10 days out from the game where you kind of focus in on specifically UAB. Well, at this point forward, it's all UAB. So really one guy on both sides of the ball, Jay Sean on offense won't be with us, and Daniel Brown on defense. So those two guys are guys that we do factor into playing for us down the road here. Just don't know exactly when they're going to get back. Both of them, unfortunately, weren't with us this game, but could be back with us very quickly. So those two guys, really everybody else should be kind of up to full speed. Robert Edmondson returned back. Huddy Hudson got back out there. A couple guys have been banged up with some soft tissue stuff, all got back out there, so we should be full go other than those two guys as it goes forward. So with that, I'll open up for some easy questions.
With Jay Sean and Daniel, you both earlier you mentioned it might be week 2, week 3, or 4. Have you gotten better news on that?
The injury they got kind of just one of those. It's definitely a period of time, but both of them have had multiple weeks off now, right? So Daniel's been out. Well, Daniel hasn't even practiced in fall camp. So, and then Jay Sean, obviously, I think it was the second week when he went down and kind of left it open-ended. Fortunately, it's not obviously a long period of time or something that's going to take him out for the season. We've got 5 guys now that are out for the season, obviously going back to last spring. So, tough part for that.
Dealing with from an injury standpoint.
What is he dealing with?
What's his injury?
Probably better not say that. I'll let him. I think today's world, as we're finding out, everything gets publicized for a variety of different reasons, but he's definitely out for a while.
Bret, it's a first public impression of Bobby's defense that we'll get to see, that people get to see out there. It's one game. I know it doesn't determine everything, but what are you looking forward to seeing, or what do you want to see?
Well, I gave our defensive coaches a lot of credit. I was after our second scrimmage where I was looking at that game more of anything what they're going to do, kind of in between the series. All right, we did ones against the world, so we set it up so that the coaches could go over to the bench, during when the offense was on the field. We had the tablet set up. We had all the headset communication from the press box down, right? So I don't think I've had a defensive coordinator ever not on the field. I called it from the field. I think all my coordinators have. I think maybe Chris Ash might have, but regardless, that is kind of what I was trying to figure out, right? And then to hear his voice, to hear he talk through to his coaches, and then to see the players respond to the coaches on the sideline and in meetings. And, I would say that you would ask our defensive guys that are having a lot of fun. I think they're having a lot of fun flying around, playing this defense. I think the offense can feel it when they get some energy going. So I think the personality of our defense is what excites me to see that come to life against an opponent. Now, I will share this, and I get why all the questions are about us, but, you got a head coach that takes over a program that was in trouble, right, in the first game that he's a head coach. They beat the number 22 team, undefeated team, Memphis, in the country. It was 6-0 at the time. That head coach later got the Arkansas job. So I think for Alex, just knowing his dad, they were Arkansas people, so I knew of them especially, and got to know Alex's story when he was at Alabama. But just super impressed with him as a young coach, for him to take over that program last year. I think he went 2-4 after he took over, but his offensive touch, and what they've done offensively at that place since he's been there has been pretty impressive. So I think we got a tremendous challenge, especially on the defense side of the ball, to see what they're going to come in and do.
In your mock games or the game you had this week or the scrimmages, who's been the defensive green dot guy that you?
Green dot? Well, we moved when Aaron's been the D coordinator the whole time we've had green dot. He always saw the game back and forward, right? So like he just communicated better with defensive back end guys. So that's why Miles ran it. Mac Rossetich had it when Matt wasn't in the game. When Miles wasn't in the game. So one of the first conversations I had last year during the spring when we went to practice, like, what do you guys see? And Coop had been the green dot when he was at Montana because he was the guy calling it, right? So I knew Bobby was calling it, how it was going to play out. So Bobby is actually making the calls through the staff, right? So Coop is still the one that's relaying the call. So Coop is a communicator, and I think it's just naturally fitting for him. He coaches the linebackers, so it'll be those guys. We've rotated around. Matt Bailey did have the green dot for a while. I also use the green dot as a learning experience. So when guys aren't practicing, we put the extra green dots on the guys that aren't practicing so they hear the calls and keep them engaged. But during the game, I believe our first green dot will be Krutzy to Ish. Could be Ish for the first play too. I don't know if we're going to go Krutz or Ish, but it'll be one of those two guys, or Robert Edmonton or someone in that back room.
Specialist, battle, kicker, punter. Do you comfortable saying who's you're going with?
Yeah, not quite yet, but I think we know where we're going. The punter battle has been absolutely awesome. Lars and Jack, Jack kind of got here late. I think the visa, I blame Brad because he's getting all these foreign players. They must be backpiled on waivers over there coming to Illinois. But we just tried to get in one Australian punter and took us 6 months. Of course, his pay scale is probably different, but that's another point. I think the part that was awesome is Jack just fit in right away. I think this group of kickers, punters, and snappers is probably as close as I've had here. So really punters, I would say both. I would be surprised if we don't see both of them in the game, and both kickers, to be honest, in some capacity.
You got games this weekend. You're not playing, obviously. You guys watching, or what do you tell them about
Yeah,
that?
so it was kind of cool last night. I gave most of our coaches yesterday off. I always give them a week out from the game. So I took my wife and two daughters to their first hibachi grill experience. It was pretty interesting last night. Had a 9-year-old jump in my lap very quickly when she saw fire on the table, which was another conversation. But got home last night and I saw the pregame or the NFL games going on. So on tonight, we're going to keep them here pretty late, so they won't be able to see anything tonight. They'll probably be on the field till 10:30 or 11 tonight. But tomorrow, I'm giving them during the day. We are going to have meetings in the middle of the afternoon, right around a couple games that we're going to watch specifically with them. But yeah, I always tell them, hey, the more you can watch football you've never seen before and put yourself in the moment, so you got a 2nd and 10, get back on track. You got a 1st and 15 that's because of a penalty. You got an end of game scenario. Our guys will literally, now I got a group that I text a lot with, my leadership council, but it's not uncommon for some of those guys to hit me up with, Coach, did you just see that? Like Gabe Ackus all of the time would hit me up on, did you see that, that up and under? Could be just a move, right? Johnny Newton used to, I think when I said that about Johnny, that curtailed into everybody. But yeah, it's fun to see those guys watch football when they're not in it.
Here you have guys who've been in the program a long time, stepping into bigger roles that maybe haven't played a ton, like Ish and Mason Moragan, and Krutzy's played a lot.
Yeah.
What do you see out of that group in this defense?
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of being an 18-year head coach is you've had a lot of these first game experiences with guys you've watched. I'm probably more angst with guys that haven't played a lot of football. They're going to play a lot of football that haven't played somewhere else, right? Like, I know there's a lot coming at you there, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I am excited to see Mason Moragan. I think he's a guy, and Ish. I made a special point. I bragged on Ish in front of the team, and I think guys would tell you that I don't normally call people out and brag on him a lot, but I just thought that kid from where he's come from to be a Division II player, to go to JUCO, to come in and sit out last year and played really just on special teams, to hear him talk out there. I think he's a guy that plays with great inspiration. Our second scrimmage, he really flew around and made a lot of really big plays, and I thought that in itself was a big statement on his behalf, but also Coop's coaching him, right? So it's these guys coaching him for the first time. And Krutzy's a guy that makes plays, but he seems to elevate his play when the games are flying, right? So I'm kind of excited to see him play a little more defensive football. But Mason Moragan is just, ever since I met that kid, there's just been something special. His dad played college ball. Him and his mom and dad are just incredibly awesome people. And, when he hurt his ACL, I knew it hurt them just as much as it hurt them, himself. And then he had to sit out that whole year. I'll tell a story. This is Mason Moragan at his finest. He's a freshman. I'm parking sometimes on weekends or odd times. Instead of going through the main parking lot, I'll pull around back here, and it's right by my office. And a lot of times I'll come around the corner and maybe see someone they don't expect me to pop around there. And Mason was flying on a scooter, about clipped me. I'm like, whoa! When I stopped him, and it was he'd been here maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I said, how you liking it, bro? And he goes, I'm and he used a word I can't use, loving it, right? And it came out of him like that, and you could just see the genuine excitement that he had in being here and feeling it. And that was in his first month. And I think every day that kid's been here, you can just see the energy in him. And now to see it parlay into a playing experience this fall, I'm pretty excited for him.
What did you learn about your two tackles during your two projected starting tackles?
Well, they got better every day. I give Nathan a lot of credit. He battled through a little perseverance. He had a soft tissue that flared up. It's all calmed down now, but like he had to miss maybe just one day when they told me he was going to miss a while, and then he popped back out there. He's just extremely gritty, tough. One of the biggest weight gain guys, not just weight, but also strength in his numbers, what he tested out at the end of summer. I know Tank was really pleased with that one. And then Christian Martin, he's actually put on a lot of size. He's put on over 25 pounds. I thought he was a good player a year ago at Colorado State, and he's just steadily kept climbing and grinding. I think him and Micah playing next to each one another, those guys have really developed a nice little bond there. I think anytime you can get centers and guards to talk and walk and do things together. But when you get guards and tackles communicating at a high level, I think that's been good. And actually Brandon Henderson and Nathan, since Nathan moved over to that right side, has been really, really good with Brandon. So I'm excited to see that whole group play. To be honest, Jake Renfro has been everything I could ask for and more, right? Just a super high level football IQ, great communicator. He gets a little pissy, but he's also very calm. He has that ability to kind of just calm the moment, but also play with an edge. And super excited, I think, for him to get named captain. I thought he had some good leadership skills, but then it got reflected in his teammates, and that says a lot to me.
What are the specifics that maybe fans don't know about having Barry for a fifth year? And what comfort level does that provide?
Having Barry?
Yeah, for a fifth year, when there's not a whole lot of continuity in the sport.
Yeah. So Barry brings a presence that's just, obviously I've been able to see the beneficiary of it for a long time, but, he's actually really funny. He's really dry, right? And last year I was on the road with him, and I remember I was talking to my wife that night, and I said, man, I forget about how funny Barry is, because he could take over that moment. So he's got a really good edge to him. We had made an adjustment with our scoreboard with the clock, and it was a group message to my quarterbacks. And of course, Barry and Art and Mike and Mark are all on it. But we were talking about the play clock, and Barry shot a picture of what he said was his play clock when he was playing. And it was, an old pocket watch from 1920. He probably thought it was really funny. I thought it was funny because it was so stupid. But I just think he has a great presence, awareness, understanding. He's a coach's son, so he's been through it. Now he's a father that's got kids. When I met him, were this big, right? And now they're going to colleges, and he's just grown into such maturity. He's got a great understanding. He has I always say the pride always comes before the fall. The pride always comes before the fall, and he's a low ego guy, and he just absorbs knowledge from Mike. And him and Mike are always in there. Mark Farley has been incredibly beneficial. Wheat, the new voices, Jared Elliott. I think Barry just naturally builds that group into a relationship that's pretty special to watch. I know how unusual that is for me, just being around a bunch of coordinators, and he's very selfless, and that comes back to you tenfold.
Coach, I know you've had him here since the spring and stuff, but with all the new guys that are going to be playing, would you say this game one is a little bit different in terms of the evaluation that's going on, and with maybe an eye on adjustments for game two?
I'll get through game one first. I think that it's a great narrative, but I promise you, the amount of time I put on UAB, going back to Florida in 2021 for their DC, and watching end of game scenarios from 2020, against Ole Miss, who's got coaches. It's just, I worry about them all, man. So I get there. I think teams, I don't think it's just a cliche. Coaches, head coaches, coordinators, assistants, you usually make your biggest gain from game one to game two just because you don't know so much. But I think this group, incredibly, today's practice 21 of 25. And I know I'll learn something tonight that I didn't know before today happened. So I'm just continuing to learn with these guys. I brought our quarterbacks in yesterday for a quarterback meeting. It was just me and the four quarterbacks, and you got Dane and Michael in there for the first time, who were kind of just looking around, like the level of communication that was going on with Caton and myself and Art and about game specific scenarios. And Carson saw it last year, and Carson talked about the growth of his world last year by listening to Luke run those meetings. So it's fun to see that stuff carry on. And I would tell you this, there's a lot of people ready to play this game. There's nobody more excited to play this game than Caton Hauser. So I think he's excited and ready to go out there and play against somebody from a different jersey.
From your quarterbacks behind Caton, and do you have your backup quarterbacks?
Yeah, Barry and I talk. We've been talking about it. I would say the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, really after scrimmage one, we kind of made a decision how we would play it out. Right, it probably a little bit depends on what the scenario is. Like if it's a short-term gap or a long-term gap. However it would play out. I think it's fair to say if Caton has a cramp and he's going to miss 2 series or he's going to miss 2 plays, like I think we would throw Carson in there first in a normal live situation. But Michael's had a really good fall camp. He had a really good spring, kind of went through some trials and tribulations at the beginning and then has really played well down the stretch. And I'm not saying he's going to play this year, but Dane has been very impressive to me for a guy that we signed the way he did and came in as late as he did to camp. He's a very impressive player.
Do one more after this. What gives you the most confidence that this, now that you've been around, that this defensive scheme, this defensive unit can have success here?
I believe in a lot in the guys that are coaching it. I'm super proud of Corey Parker and Archie too, man. Those 2 guys, everybody talks about the returning players. It's the returning coaches that I think have the hardest time, right? Because they learn a scheme. Both of them came under a different type of scheme, and to learn a new scheme and to know it the way they do. But those 2 have been absolutely lights out. Even some of the younger coaches, Alex Panos, Ryan Simerson, Elder Brock, those guys have all been pretty impressive. I'm going to tell you now, man, Bobby Houck's a good coach. That young man named Robbie Houck, he's a damn good coach, man. He's a pretty good coach. So I have confidence in my coaches, even though I may not know all the intricacies of what it is. But I have, at time, I told Bobby about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said, hey, I'm still trying to, gather and give information. But if there's something that I think can help them, I'll say what I believe and whether it can be applied or not or how it can be handled is probably a work in progress. But it's been fun to see people, players and coaches that enjoy what they do be successful, and that's what I'm hoping for.